Welcome to Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs, the podcast that dives deep into the stories of trailblazers who shape our world. Our co-host, Lulu Benavides, is a seasoned entrepreneur in the beauty industry, is a photographer, artist, and the proud owner of Lulu's The Salon in Galveston, Texas. Our other co-host, Sue Croconis Hansen, is a visionary in the entrepreneurial world with years of experience in business innovation and development. Together, they bring you insights, inspiration, and the journeys of remarkable individuals who have made their mark. And with that, let's get started. Penny Burns is the visionary behind BeautyCast Network, the first digital career services and placement platform built to connect beauty school graduates with national employers. With over 39 years of experience in the beauty and wellness industry, Penny has done it all, working behind the chair, serving in admissions, and ultimately owning and operating 9 successful beauty schools across Tennessee and North Carolina. Her leadership has extended far beyond her own schools. Penny served on the executive board of the American Association of Cosmetology Schools, where she chaired the national convention for 9 years, and was an international advisory member for Pivot Point International, cementing her role as a leading voice for beauty education on a global scale. Since launching BCN in 2013, Penny has stayed committed to a bold mission: to help beauty students and graduates view the industry not as a fallback, but as a first-choice career path. BCN offers free career services and job placement support to students, schools, and educators nationwide, completely funded by employer partners. At her core, Penny is passionate about helping beauty professionals build profitable, sustainable careers, while giving schools and employers the tools they need to thrive in a rapidly evolving industry. Please welcome to the podcast a true innovator and advocate for student success, Penny Burns.
Today, we're so excited to have Penny Burns, founder of BeautyCast Network. And she's been in the industry for over 4 decades, or 39 years, or somewhere around there. And she's owned beauty schools, and she's worked behind the chair. So she comes to us with a wealth of knowledge. So we're so excited, Sue and I are so excited to interview you on this podcast. So welcome to Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs.
Well, thank you guys for having me. Gosh, 4 decades. Ugh.
I know.
Scary.
I know. How long have we been doing this? And so, like I said earlier, that you have been doing this for over 4 decades. You have been in the beauty and wellness industry, and you work behind the chair. You have worked behind the chair, and you.
Well, I was a makeup artist more. That was what I did. That's how I really got into the industry.
Okay, so you were a makeup artist, and you own 9 beauty schools. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I started out as executive management, sort of a director of admissions, and then worked my way up to CEO, and then became in the ownership side of it.
So what moment did you decide to venture on your own and do BeautyCast Network? Can you tell the audience about that?
Yeah, in 2009 we sold the schools, and the company that bought them, which was a national company, I had a 3-year contract with them where I basically got on a plane every Monday and came home on Friday, and I would travel to schools all over the country, working with schools on advisory boards, outcome, retention, just all kind of initiatives that I would be working with schools all over the country. And one of the things that I really saw when I was out there, and I actually, it really made me see when I had schools, is what happened to the student after they graduated. You know what I'm saying? We spend so much time getting them enrolled into school and getting through the program and getting them to show up for the test, but then they've got a whole career ahead of them, And the numbers didn't look too good, as not just with the group that I was working with, because it was nationally how many of them were staying in the industry in the first 5 years. And so that really was humbling to me, because these people, all these students put a lot of time and energy into getting into the field, and then left it very quickly. And so I wanted to go in and try to figure out what was going on there and try to help more of them build profitable, sustainable careers. So once I did my 3 years, and it was great because I got to get a lot of information during that time, and it really was humbling because I got to look back on the time that I had schools and wish that I had spent more time focused on what comes next rather than enrolling more students and, getting them through school. I wished I would have spent more time and energies. It's always humbling to look back. And so that's, I said, if I ever have an opportunity, I'd like to create something that helps people in this industry get on the right career path and build profitable, sustainable careers. And so that's been what we've been working on for the last week. We launched BeautyCast in 2013, so we've been doing it for 12 years.
Wow. Well, kudos to you, because BCN is the first digital career platform that specifically was geared for beauty school graduates. And wow. And, I think you touched on it a little bit, but, like you've been in it 40 years. Lulu and I probably are on our 5th decade, impossible. And I'm just like the gaps, you look at the gaps. Are there specific gaps and things that you see now that really led you into this digital world? Because you're really ahead of the pack on this. You are doing something very, very important.
Launching BeautyCast and building BeautyCast has been like having a herd of elephants. It's like I feel like I've birthed a lot of elephants here. I've learned a lot because, it's great to be the first one to ever really do something, but then you don't really have anything to follow, right? So that's the hard part is being able to get people to realize what you're doing and understand it and all of that kind of stuff. And where we started with BeautyCast, we built this big state-of-the-art digital platform in the beginning, which is more like, it was like a dating site. You would go in there and build a profile if you was a current student, and then employers would post jobs, and our goal was to get them to connect. Well, I hate to say that, it didn't work.
Yeah.
That one didn't work. And so we realized, that we had to really study what people wanted. It wasn't what I wanted, it wasn't what I thought it needed. It was really what the market wanted and needed and was using. And so we had to go back and really scratch that program. And we became more of a lead generation platform. So where, we serve students rather than students searching or employers searching. We basically just do all the serving, and we connect the students, through lead generation through our employers. And so we really, along the way figured out what works, and we think we've done a great job. We've sort of hit the magic where, we start working with students while they're in school, and it's more about, 80% of what we do is about career services, where we really educate the students on what comes next and, what they need to be looking at, the journey of a successful person in the industry. And you know what, they all want to start out owning their own business, and that's just not, that works only for unicorns, and it's very few of them out there, right?
Right.
We want to, get them to really understand it and to get on a sustainable path and know that they can get to wherever they want to get to in the industry, but they have to get there in a sustainable way. So what we do is mostly about education. We put a lot of content out there. We share a lot about the employers out there in that industry, W-2 employers. And then when the student gets 90 days out from graduation, we connect them to those employers. We get the leads over to the candidate leads over into our employment partners, and then they start, marketing to them for open positions within their company.
Penny, you have already touched this, but your heart is for those professionals, the students.
Yes.
And what do we as salon owners have to change our mindset for today? What do we have to do that's different from in the past and now that is what is today? What do we have to do?
Well, I think it's always been a little bit of a challenge, to salons. Sometimes they want schools to do a lot more than what they do. And then, of course, schools have this expectation of salons. And, it's sort of meeting in the middle. Sometimes salons don't realize where we started with that student, right? You didn't see the transformation. Everybody is unique, and they come in at a different place in their lives, and they all are mentally at a different place. They're educationally at a different place. And so our job is to take them and then to take them through that fundamentals, those programs, and then get them to be ready to go out into the industry. Salons need to be willing to take that baton, help that person get from that entry level, to keep navigating up. And you're going to have to put a lot into them. I mean, I hear from salons, well, if I put a lot into them, they may end up leaving me in 2 or 3 years. Well, that's just the way the world is right now. You know what you've got to do is you've just got to you got to pour into them. And you know what? You don't burn bridges with them, because a lot of times if you created a great relationship and you poured into them and you help them grow to the next level, most of them are going to get out there and they're going to bump their head, and a lot of times, and they're going to realize, I don't want to be a salon owner, I don't want to be in a suite by myself or something like that. And if you had a great relationship with them, you're going to be the first person they come back to. But a lot of times as salon owners, we burn bridges. We get so angry that they left. We forget that was us one day, and that, long time ago. And the reason we own a salon today is because we took that chance. But who was the people that poured into us to make us where we had the courage and the confidence to make that step? So, just be willing to take the baton. I mean, that's why we work with a lot of the employers that we do, is because they're not expecting with them to stay. They're not expecting that person to stay with them forever. That's not the world we live in anymore. People don't stay 20 and 30 years, like we were sort of trained to do.
Right.
And we live in a gig world, a gig economy, where they want to all go out there and own their own place. And a lot of times they don't know what they don't know. They don't really know what that means. Now, BeautyCast, one of the things that we've done and we've done pretty well is helping them to understand what that looks like better. Understanding the compensation structures. What is it like to be independent? What does that really mean? It's not just the glamour you think it is, being your own boss. What does being your own boss really mean? You can be your own boss working for somebody else, right? So we've done a really good job at trying to help them understand and navigate that better. And we're already seeing those numbers, and that feedback come back to us on the work we've done in that area.
I think that's so great, because as a salon owner, and I still work several days behind the chair, and you say, do not burn your bridges behind you, because you never know when you're going to need that person. I have a big wedding party on October the 18th. I had called several people, these are ex-employees, and I tell you that 2 of them had said, I'll come and help you. I have something that evening, but I'll come and help you. So it just goes to show you, if they're trained correctly and you pass the baton and you didn't burn the bridge, that you can call them eventually and they'll help you out when you need it.
That's right. And you know what? If you're a salon owner and they're struggling, you're checking in with them and say, hey, just wanted to check in with you, how things going. You're showing more support. They're like, well, it's not really going so well. I don't know if I really want to own my own place. Mm-hmm. Well, hey, come on back here. Mm-hmm. We'd love to have you back, and you did great here, so maybe this is where you need to be. Mm-hmm. And so many times, if we handle it properly, that's what will happen. Mm-hmm. It's just we get angry and we're like, I put all this training in them and they left me, and that's just part of it.
Yeah,
we've all had that situation, and I can't tell you how many people I've trained throughout the years, but ended coming back to me, and had a long-term relationship. So I just think it's the way we manage that side of it.
Correct.
Well, Penny, having served as an executive board member on AACS and also as an international advisor for Pivot Point, by the way, I owned a Pivot Point school, so bandwagon, great company and philosophy. I'm just curious as how that helped you or gave you certain insights on the rules of, how to influence making decisions in terms of BCN. Are there lessons from that, or certain little philosophies, obviously, that you brought to your company?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I spent many years on the the board of ACTS, the American Association of Cosmetology Schools. I think they've just updated the name, but that's my tenure. That's when I was there. And I was on the executive board, and at that time I was like one of the youngest ones. And but I got to be around so many just incredible people that had incredible schools. So I mean, I was like a sponge, and I got to really just soak up so much and learn so much from all of these people. It's really played a part in how I do business today by, just from the people that I were around, and just the passion, surrounding yourself with people that are as passionate about the industry, and graduates and people being successful in this industry. So at that time I was convention chair for 9 years. I was the longest running convention chair. So every year I actually was convention chair, and, had the opportunity of putting together a great event along with a team. And it's just amazing, and it really helped me, today to, manage events and do the things that I did. So, and the thing with Pivot Point, I got to sit at the table with some of the most incredible people across the world, because with that they brought in people, international. And so it was just amazing to be able to, to be a part of that group, and just be in those conversations and be in that thought panels and things like that. So I just absolutely loved it. And yes, it's really influenced what I do today.
Penny, today I think that a lot of the schools have cut back of course it depends on the different states that you're in, but in my state, I'm in Texas, and it used to take 1,500 hours for a graduate to a beauty school graduate. Now it's 1,000 hours. So what is your biggest challenge in the workforce, getting the people up to speed with less hours that you have with them?
I have this philosophy that it's not about hours, because hours has always been, you look at New York and Massachusetts and all that, they've always been 1,000. They've been 1,000 hours for years and years and years, right? And then you had some states up there that was like 2,300 hours. I actually was in a state that operated around 1,500 hours. So, I never really like to put it around hours. I think that's where too many people focus on the hours instead of the quality,
Wow.
So, I've known graduates that's come out of 1,000-hour states that is just incredible. Right? Mm-hmm. And I've known students that's come out of states of 2,200 hours. That's just incredible. The bottom line is it's the quality inside those hours, right? And the worst thing a student can do is just get in the mindset, or educators or school owners or administrators, is about clocking those hours.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of schools out there that, put a lot of quality in those hours, whether they're 1,000 hours or 2,200 hours or 15 or 18. And then there's schools that, a lot of hours are empty hours. You know what I'm saying? It's just about a clock and an hour. I think, like Texas, for example, we've got some great schools in Texas, the Ogle schools, the Milan schools, Pivot Point schools, Paul Mitchell schools, the Beta schools. We got so many fantastic schools in Texas. And you know what? They've all had to, go to 1,000 hours, along with Oklahoma. That's happening across the country. And you know what? I've talked to a lot of them before. They were like, oh, no, this is going to be awful. And then I've talked to them afterwards, and they're like, you know what, we figured it out. You know what, we really went back, and so it's not really hurting them. It's not hurting them. So I think the worst thing we can do is just concentrate on the hours.
So, we've talked a lot about the students, but let's kind of turn it around and talk about the employers, because really, if I understand your model, they sort of fund the platform. They're the participants that come to you. So sort of explain the benefits of someone who maybe is out there and needs to employ some new staff. Just give your message about your platform, speak to them about why and how your system is the best.
Well, we're a little unique. I always like to say this. We can't work with every employer out there. We honestly can't work with just one salon location. We work with, the national and regional employers that really have great programs for newly licensed professionals that, got great training programs. We work with Intercoiffure salons. We work with the iSpa, like a lot of the big spa groups and stuff like that. And then we work with, of course, Great Clips, Sport Clips, Fantastic Sam's, all of those kind of groups. People that really hire in bulk, right? And that have great programs for people to start their career, where they can start making money pretty quickly and that they have great educational programs. Our old model, we were able to work with more one-off salons, but it became just, I like to be fair because we want to make sure that, we've got graduates everywhere. So our new model for the last 6 years have been, or maybe a little longer, is that we only work with certain types of employer groups. And they pay an annual fee every year to participate with us. And what we do is we really get their brand out there and the features and the benefits of their company in a very consistent kind of way. So we're constantly educating the student on what it's like to work for this type of company. So, they hire about 12 to 15% of all the graduates out there, but it's equipping the students to really, whether they go work for one of these brands or not, to really be able to go out there and pick the right salon, and ask the right questions and all of this kind of stuff. So they're just the ones who, they love what we do at BeautyCast, and they pay us to do what we do. And so we're a very unique model. So, we're not like an Indeed or something like that.
Well, so what you're saying is that these people that you send your graduates to are actually, they give them a W-2, which is awesome. So, my husband has a philosophy: for every dollar, you take a dollar that you make, a percentage goes to rent, a percentage goes to your supplies. So he breaks it up. Some get it and some don't. It depends on where they have been trained. But like you said, Paul Mitchell, Aveda, Ogle here in Texas, those are big beauty schools that train their staff. Because I go every year to business, what was it called?
Texas Tech.
No, in Louisiana to the Aveda Institute, not the Aveda Institute.
Yeah, I know, like the Aveda.
Business, serious business.
Serious business, yes.
And it's not a technical, you don't see a haircut perform. You actually see authors. And you see different people. And then, I've seen Gordon Miller.
Yeah.
There also. So, which is great for our industry. So, that, staff is making 6 figures, 7 figures, and all they're doing is hair.
Right.
So if you can show that to your students, or you can show that to the employees, they may get it. Eventually, they want to go on their own. It's okay to go on your own because, like you said, we did it. But to come back to a salon where you have a W-2, where you can go buy a house, where you can go buy a car, and you can say, I make X amount of dollars every week, every month. This is what I do.
It's
Because I have a
reporting that
W-2.
income.
Exactly.
And we want them, when they start in that type of environment, that's building habits. And so when you get used to having your income reported for so long, then you eventually just keep doing it, right? Because you built your world, your life around those numbers. So that's why, but those are habits that have to be built. And so that's why it's very important to start people in those kind of paths, so that they can learn from them. And then eventually when they get to the place where they want to do it on their own, they're following that kind of roadmap rather than just sort of popping up and trying to do it. So yes, reporting our income in our industry is very important. And, reporting, I know like right now the tax tip thing, that's been a big thing that we've been a part of. And just making sure that people understand it and, that they value, they value this career because there's a lot of money to be made here.
Oh, yeah.
You got to handle it properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
So
Penny, go ahead.
can you talk more about the technology in the beauty industry and the career path placement that you have in your business?
Yeah, ours is really, I wouldn't like say it's just a high-tech tool. I mean, it's a very simple the schools actually put their students into our platform every month. So, and we move them every month. They do a new upload, and we move students in our system based on their scheduled graduation date. And then when they get 90 days out from graduation, we start sharing them out. But what we do, we're 80% career services, and so we really work on a lot on the success skills, soft skills, what you're talking about, financial literacy kind of thing. So we're feeding them a lot of this type of information. Plus we give out a lot to our educators, because 85% of a person's success is their people skills, their relationship skills. How do they get to those $100,000 a year paychecks, those incomes, is by building relationships, learning how to keep up in the tickets with their people that's coming in and getting those referrals and things like that. So, that's got to be taught. It's not just about the technique. And schools are going to learn the basic fundamentals of those techniques. And then when they graduate, they know enough to get through that exam and all that kind of stuff. And it's the practice. So the more people, the better their people skills. And that is, the more people's going to sit in their chair, the more practice they're going to get, the more people are going to come back, and it just is going to move on from there. So it's like following that philosophy and getting them to really, educators to spend a lot more time on the people skills, the success skills. That's really going to make a difference, right? And then getting them to keep carrying that on as they go through their journey.
Yeah, well, it seems to me like it's really important today, particularly with young people. I don't want to say self-market, but with the social media platform, with AI, learning how to build their clientele maybe in a way that's very different that we did when we first started out. And I think that's also maybe an area that the school training can really help these people. How do you see technology playing a part in that?
Well, the students enrolling today are so technology savvy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's almost been like a learning curve for schools, because kids are coming in, can do Instagram posts and reels in their sleep and TikToks and all this kind of stuff. So it's like being able to take all of that and really try to craft it in a way that helps them build their business. So, that's been where schools have really sort of had to catch up, especially with today, and take all of that knowledge that students come in day one with and help them to take that energy and knowledge and really use it to their benefit. And I think, there's been a lot of great content and courses out there that's really helped students to do that. And it's really pushed, educators and schools and everything to really up their game in that area, helping students to build TikToks and all this kind of stuff. Students are coming in and teaching educators how to build it. Let's be honest, so that's, the world in which they have that part of it. They're coming in the front door with it. It's just sort of being able to take that and sort of put it in a very constructive way to help them use that they already know in a way to build their business. So that's, we're the ones going through the big learning curve. They're not. They're coming in and, they've got it, and, they're paving the way and showing us how to do things when it comes there. So it's just being able to really help them to manage it in constructive ways, make sure that they keep it very professional and all of that kind of stuff. And so that's, that's where schools have really done a great job at helping them just take that and run with it.
Yeah.
You said it has to be done professionally, and AI has to be done professionally. So if you have students coming in that are savvy in social media, so you tell them what software that they can use, and you give them a list of softwares that they can use in the business, in the salon, how they can be more profitable to that owner and make money,
Well, most of the tools today, that like the big salon tools out there, they have AI already in them. So, it's like they're really not having to get on ChatGPT, which a lot of them do, or all the different ones. I mean, my God, you can pick up anything you do now. It has got an AI component to it, right?
Right.
So it's using it within that tool. So the good thing about it, all the tools out there that they're going to be using most of the time when it comes to, you know, the social media platforms, to the booking platforms, all of those POS systems and stuff like that, they're building such cool AI tools in there that they're just having to follow the recipe. They're just really good at following the recipes. But it making sure that, you know, that they do it in a professional way. But the good thing about the tools is they're really taking all that into consideration, and they're really sort of putting those guardrails up that they, you know, that they basically have to just, you know, follow the path. And so I think that's what we're seeing a lot from the tools out there, which I think is very, very smart.
Yeah, and I use a lot of those tools like online booking and Weigh Our Color. Those are AI driven, and they're secured for the salon. So you may do it, you know, the employee may get the tool, but once they leave the salon, they don't have access to it. But that client has access to online booking because they're in their pajamas at 2:00 in the morning. They want to make an appointment. That's the beauty of it. So to be able to tell the student what's out there, what salons are using those tools, and that it just benefits them.
And like I said, they know, they come through the front door knowing so much
more.
It's just, you know, and they learn more while they're in school. You know, I going back to the employer, the salon side of it, you know, I always this philosophy: take care of your stylists, help them grow, build them, and you know what? They're going to take care of you. You know, you don't have to worry about them leaving and taking all this stuff. That's going to happen sometimes, you know. But the bottom line is, if you know, it's like any staff member. I mean, I had 250 staff members, and you know what? The more I poured into them, and the more that I helped them grow and feel appreciated and loved and all this kind of stuff, you know what? There's not many of them today I couldn't call on and they wouldn't be right here if I needed them. So, and I think that's the key thing is, you know, if we do the right thing, the right thing's going to happen, you know? Put it this way, at least 60 to 70% of the time. There's sometimes it's just not going to happen, but we can't focus on that. And that's what I go back to our beginning of the conversation is if you just sort of live by that, I think you're going to win. When everybody wins, it's a win.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
So looking ahead, Penny, what's your next chapter and on this new venture?
Well, we're real excited right now. We've got a couple things that we're launching. We've got we're launching a national Pathway to Beauty scholarship program. We've been doing a lot of research the last couple of years. I've sort of spearheaded that on working with high school counselors or just school counselors, period. Making beauty a first choice career, because I can't tell you how many times people enroll into school and say, you know what, I've always wanted to do this, but you know, so and so told me I shouldn't do it, or you know, my parents wanted me to go to four-year colleges, traditional college. But we got that all the time, and we get them later, you know. So our goal is to really help counselors think differently of us, and you know what, they do. We thought that they didn't like us. They love us, and they're getting so many of their students coming to them saying, hey, we're interested in getting in the beauty industry. And they just need tools to help make that happen. And so we're building a very counselor-focused program called Pathways to Beauty, and it's going to have a scholarship component to it that's going to be funded by national employers. And the goal is that, you know, we're enrolling a lot more students coming right out of high school into our schools, you know, and they're not having to go and, you know, go around and come back to us when they're 24, 25, 26, when, you know, maybe they picked up a lot of debt in programs that they're not interested in or tried four-year colleges and it just wasn't for them. You know what? So we're really excited about that program. We're starting our pilot in 26, and then hopefully we're taking on 5 states in 26, and our goal is to take on the whole United States by, you know, a couple of years and be awarding scholarships all over the country to high school students.
Wow,
So very
that's great.
excited about that. And then we're launching You know, BeautyCast has always did competitions. We've worked with the America's Beauty Show. We worked with Premier Orlando. And we've done student competitions for years. And, you know, during COVID, we did virtual competitions and we had thousands of students participate. And when COVID was over, stupid us, we went back to the way, you know, we were before. And, you know, because we've grown so much, we've got schools all over the country that says, you know, my students can't get to, you know, Chicago. They can't get to Orlando or wherever, you know, the event was. And so now we're launching a virtual student competitions. We're launching in about a month. And we're real excited. We got NAHA judges that's going to be judging. We've got people like, you know, we got Jalea Pettis. We've got next week, we've got just great people that's on, that's going to be talking to students about the importance of competition. But then we're going to have NAHA judges that's going to be judging these student competitions. And students are going to be able to win lots of great money, which they need.
Yeah.
Lots of prizes from our employers and just a lot of great opportunities. So we're real excited about that. We'll be doing 3 rounds a year. So that's another thing, you know, just another thing to keep that person excited and moving forward.
That's great. That is so great.
Excited.
Well, Penny, we love hearing about your company and everything you're doing to promote the beauty industry because, you know, Lulu and I have been passionate about it all of our lives. Our beauty careers have been our lives. But our audience loves to look a little deeper into the person. So we do this little thing, and it's called Rapid Fire, where we just ask 5 questions, and they're sometimes goofy questions, personal questions, but if you play along and just give us the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Ready to bare your soul, Penny? Here we go.
I think so.
This is a really tough one to start with. Coffee or tea first thing in the morning?
Green tea.
The best piece of career advice you've ever received?
You know what? Always be open to receiving feedback, you know, because that's what helps you grow. You know, it's how you take it in. So I was told many years ago that I got a compliment that I was good at receiving feedback. And so that person, when they gave me that compliment, which was a person I worked for at the time, they told me how that was going to play out in my life. And so I've always thought about that.
Yeah, that's cool. If you weren't in the beauty industry, what career path do you think you might have taken?
It would probably be maybe in the counseling side, medical side, or something like that. I mean, I love working and talking with people. So it would be something. In high school, I did a lot with special needs students, so my family thought I would go into that area, but found myself in the beauty industry. But so it would be something working with people.
Yeah. So what book or podcast is inspiring you right now?
Of course, you know, I love Mastering Beauty, our podcast, and then Social Beauty Makers. Of course, as far as podcasts concerned, there's a lot of them out there, but those two are close to my heart. and a couple books. I just finished a book named Click, which is, you know, all these opportunities we have to click with people or situations and things like that. And then that's one that probably sticks out. There's another book that was written. I got to Will Guidero. I got to see him at the iSpa conference, and he was a big restaurateur, and he talked about those special moments and stuff like that. So I went and grabbed his book, and I've shared that book with so many people, but creating those special moments,
Okay, in closing, can you describe beauty in one word?
Well, I'm going to fall in what we work with, so I'm going to say confidence. I think confidence, you know what, the more confident that we are, our beauty's going to come out. And, you know, confidence is a never-ending thing. It's something we have to work on constantly. And so I think the more confident we are, the more beautiful we are.
Love that answer. Love that answer.
Thank you.
So, well, I just want to say thank you, Penny. It's been wonderful getting to just chat with you and have a little dialogue about all the fabulous things you're doing in our industry. I just salute you and have enjoyed this podcast immensely.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed it too. It's an honor to be on with you guys. Y'all been in the industry a long time, and, you know, I'm going to take an opportunity to bend your ear at one time and all of that. But I appreciate you guys so much and everything that you've done and everything that you do for our industry.
So Penny, is there one thing where can our audience find you?
Hey, I'm Penny at beautycastnetwork.com. People reach out to me all the time. So I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. So just look me up. Beautycast Network is on those platforms, but I'm on those platforms. So, just you can find me. I'm not hard to find. Just reach out there, and I'm an open book and an open door. Just, find me and let's connect.
Yeah. And you mentioned the two podcasts that you like, that you're involved with. So I'm here to tell the audience, please go to listen to Gordon Miller, listen to BeautyCastNetwork.com.
Mastering Beauty. Yeah,
Mastering Beauty. And Penny, we want to, on behalf on artists, icons, and entrepreneurs, Sue and I would like to thank you so much for spending your time with us and sharing your journey through this wonderful podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Big hugs to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, what an episode. That wraps up another exciting edition of Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you're leaving inspired and ready to chase your dreams. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode over at youtube.com/Artists, Icons, Entrepreneurs, as well as Facebook at Lulu Benavides, on IG at Lulu Benavides, at Evolve Hair Solutions as well. And don't forget to visit our website at lulubenavides.com and evolvehairsolutions.com to stay updated. Until next time, keep dreaming big, creating boldly, and making your mark on the world. Thanks for listening, and take care, everyone.